Imagine this situation. You are sitting in a meeting or having a conversation with a few people. You start explaining an idea that you have been thinking about for a while. As you are speaking, someone suddenly interrupts you and begins talking over your words as if you were not even there. The group shifts its attention toward them, and for a moment no one notices that you stopped speaking. In that moment, something changes inside you. Your chest tightens slightly. Your thoughts begin moving faster. A quiet feeling of irritation starts rising in your mind. You might think, "That was rude." Or maybe, "Why would they interrupt me like that?" You might even feel the urge to defend yourself immediately. Your body prepares to react. Your mind starts building arguments about what you should say next. But then, something interesting happens. Across the table, another person experiences the exact same situation. They are interrupted as well, yet they remain calm. Their expression barely changes. They pause for a moment and then continue the conversation without reacting emotionally. This raises a fascinating question. Why do some people stay calm when everyone else gets angry? Are they simply more patient? Do they have stronger self-control? Or is something different happening inside their minds? To understand this, we need to look at how anger actually works in human psychology. Anger is not the real problem. Many people believe calm individuals are naturally better at controlling their emotions. They assume these people are more disciplined, more mature, or simply less emotional. But that assumption is not entirely true. Calm people feel anger, just like everyone else. They feel the same rush of emotion when something seems unfair. Their bodies react in similar ways. Their heart rate increases, their muscles tighten, and their minds begin searching for explanations. So the difference is not whether anger appears. The difference lies in what happens in the moment after the anger begins. Because anger itself is not necessarily a bad emotion. In fact, anger is one of the most honest emotional signals we have. It appears when something inside us feels threatened or violated. This threat is not always physical. Most of the time, it is emotional. Maybe someone crosses your boundaries. Maybe your effort goes unrecognized. Maybe something about the situation feels unfair or disrespectful. In those moments, anger is simply your mind sending a message. It is the brain's way of saying that something does not feel right. The emotion itself is not the problem. The real difficulty begins when the mind starts creating a story to explain the feeling. The story your mind quickly creates when something frustrating happens, the brain reacts incredibly quickly. Within seconds, it begins forming an explanation. If someone walks past you without saying hello, your mind may immediately think, "They are ignoring me." If someone responds to your message with only a short reply, your brain might interpret it as, "They are being cold or distant." If someone criticizes your idea, the mind might quickly conclude, "They do not respect me." These interpretations feel automatic and convincing. This happens because the human brain evolved to detect potential threats very quickly. Thousands of years ago, reacting quickly helped humans survive dangerous situations. Our brains still carry that same instinct today. However, in modern life, that instinct can sometimes lead to misunderstandings. The first explanation that appears in your mind is not always the correct one. Let us imagine another simple situation. You send a message to a friend. Several hours pass without any reply. As the silence continues, your mind starts filling the gap with possible explanations. You might begin thinking, maybe they are upset with me, or perhaps, did I say something wrong? Even though you do not actually know what is happening, your emotions start reacting as if the story were true. Have you ever noticed yourself doing this? Assuming the meaning of a situation before you truly understand it? Almost everyone does this at some point. This is one of the most common patterns in human psychology, but this is also the moment where calm people behave differently. Calm people question their first reaction. Emotionally intelligent people have developed a small but powerful habit. They do not immediately trust the first explanation their mind produces. Instead, they pause for a moment. Then they quietly ask themselves a simple question. What else could be happening here? Perhaps the person who did not reply to your message is busy with work. Maybe they have not seen the message yet. Maybe they are dealing with something stressful in their own life. When your mind begins considering multiple possibilities, the emotional intensity of the situation often begins to decrease. This happens because anger thrives on certainty. When the brain becomes convinced that someone has treated you unfairly, it prepares your body for confrontation. Your voice becomes sharper. Your thoughts become defensive. You begin preparing arguments in your mind. But curiosity interrupts this process. Curiosity opens the door to other explanations. And when the brain recognizes that there might be several possible interpretations, the emotional reaction often softens. This small shift in thinking is one of the foundations of emotional intelligence. The power of recognizing your emotion there is another subtle habit that calm people tend to practice. They notice their emotions earlier. Instead of reacting immediately, they recognize the feeling first. They might quietly think to themselves, I am feeling angry right now. This simple sentence may seem small, but psychologically, it is very powerful. When you name an emotion, you create a small amount of distance between yourself and the feeling. Instead of being completely consumed by anger, you begin observing it. The emotion is still present, but it no longer fills the entire space of your mind. This small distance allows your nervous system to slow down. Your breathing becomes steadier, and your thoughts become clearer. Suddenly, the situation does not appear as simple or dramatic as it did a few seconds earlier. This is where calmness begins. Calmness is not about suppressing emotion or pretending you are not angry. Calmness is about creating enough space to see the situation more clearly. At the end of the first part, we talked about something very small, a moment that almost nobody notices, a tiny pause that appears between the emotion and the reaction. Most people move past this moment without realizing it exists. The feeling appears, and the reaction follows immediately. Anger rises, and words come out before the mind has time to fully understand what is happening. But emotionally intelligent people treat that moment differently. They slow it down, not for a long time. Sometimes it is only a single breath, but that small pause can completely change what happens next. The one-breath pause. Imagine this situation again. You are speaking in a group conversation, and someone interrupts you. Immediately, you feel irritation. Your mind begins preparing a response. Maybe you want to interrupt them back. Maybe you want to point out that they cut you off. For many people, the reaction happens instantly. But calm people often do something subtle. They pause. Not a dramatic pause that everyone notices. Just a quiet breath. That breath gives the brain a moment to catch up with the emotion. Because emotions travel through the body faster than reasoning does. When anger appears, your nervous system prepares you for action. Your muscles tighten, your thoughts speed up, and your attention narrows. But a single slow breath begins to calm that response. It signals to your body that you are not in danger. And once the body begins to relax, the mind becomes clearer again. This is why that small pause is so powerful. It creates space between the feeling and the action. Inside that space, you regain something important. Choice. You can still respond. But now the response is intentional, not automatic. Calmness does not mean weakness. Many people misunderstand calmness. They believe that staying calm means allowing others to treat you poorly. They imagine calm people avoid conflict or remain silent when something unfair happens. But true calmness is not passive. Calmness simply means responding without emotional flooding. You can remain calm and still express your boundaries. For example, imagine someone interrupts you during a discussion. A reactive response might sound like this. Can you stop interrupting me for a second? The words carry frustration, and the tone escalates the tension in the room. But a calm response might sound different. I'd like to finish my thought. Then I'm happy to hear your idea. The message is clear. Your boundary is still there, but the delivery does not create additional conflict. And interestingly, people are often more willing to listen when the message is calm. When anger enters a conversation, people tend to focus on the emotion rather than the message itself. But calm communication allows the message to be heard. When anger turns inward, anger is not always directed toward other people. Sometimes the anger is directed toward ourselves. Think about a moment you regret. Maybe you said something during an argument that you wish you could take back. Maybe you stayed silent when you wanted to speak up. Later, the moment replays in your mind. You think, why did I say that? Why didn't I handle that better? Why am I like this? The anger becomes internal. You begin criticizing your past decisions again and again. But this kind of anger rarely brings clarity. Instead, it creates shame. And shame keeps the mind stuck in the past. Calm people approach these moments differently. Instead of attacking themselves, they try to understand the context of the situation. They remind themselves that every version of them acted with the tools they had at that moment. Maybe they were tired. Maybe they were overwhelmed. Maybe they did not yet have the emotional awareness they have now. Understanding the past does not mean excusing mistakes, but it allows learning instead of punishment. And learning is far more useful than self-criticism. The real skill behind emotional intelligence. When people talk about emotional intelligence, they often imagine complex psychological techniques. But in reality, the foundation is surprisingly simple. It is awareness. Awareness of your emotions. Awareness of the stories your mind creates. Awareness of the small pause between feeling and reaction. When that awareness grows, something interesting begins to happen. Anger stops feeling like an emergency. Instead, it becomes information. A signal that something inside you needs attention. Maybe a boundary needs to be communicated. Maybe a misunderstanding needs to be clarified. Maybe an old emotional trigger has been activated. But instead of reacting immediately, you now have the ability to explore the situation. And that changes everything. 3 simple principles for staying calm. If we simplify everything we discussed in this video, it comes down to 3 small principles. The first is notice the emotion. When anger appears, recognize it. Quietly say to yourself, "I'm feeling angry right now." That simple awareness creates distance. The second principle is question the story. Before assuming the worst, ask yourself if there might be another explanation for what happened. Curiosity softens certainty. The third principle is create a pause. Even a single breath can interrupt the automatic reaction and give your mind time to respond more thoughtfully. These 3 steps may seem simple, but practiced consistently, they can completely change the way you experience difficult situations. Final reflection: anger will always be part of being human. You will still experience moments when your patience is tested. Someone will say the wrong thing. Someone will misunderstand you. Someone may even treat you unfairly. Those moments are unavoidable, but what changes over time is your relationship with the emotion. You begin noticing the feeling earlier. You begin recognizing the stories your mind creates. And most importantly, you begin noticing that small space between the emotion and the reaction. Inside that space, you realize something powerful. Your emotions are real, but they are not the final authority over how you respond. And sometimes, the calmest response is simply to pause, breathe, and choose your next words carefully. If this video helped you see anger in a new way, let me ask you one final question. What situation triggers your anger the fastest? Is it being interrupted? Being ignored? Or feeling misunderstood? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might help someone else understand their own reactions better. And if you enjoy exploring ideas about emotional intelligence, human psychology, and social psychology, consider subscribing to the Thinking Mind Lab, because understanding your mind is one of the most powerful skills you can develop.